This is Fitchburg Historical Commission meeting, February 24th, 2022. Fitchburg Historical Commission, that is. First thing in our agenda is to review and approve the minutes for the October 28th meeting last year. And I think we passed over those, and I don't think we have a copy of that yet.
No, you don't. It's my fault.
And motion to pass over on that?
So move.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Second item, review and approve the minutes for January 27th, our last meeting. Copy was sent out. And everybody get a copy of that? And
Yes. I move that we approve the January 27th meeting minutes.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous.
We get a second?
I don't think we had a second. Who would like to second the motion?
Cool. I'll do
Okay,
it.
Megan, second the motion. The vote was all in favor. Megan, you're taking minutes.
I am.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. Let's see. And let's see, next item is update to proposed historical commission rules and regulations. I just sent this out on Tuesday, I think. Sam and I have been going over a sample historical commission rules and regulations, a dual commission, being both a historical commission and a historic district commission. That Mass Historical Commission had posted on their website as a sample. Sam and I have done some replacing the word Fitchburg and city for Brookline and town, and some other pieces in it. I've kind of gone ahead and made some other changes that show up in red that I think that everybody has a copy of that. I would suggest that we try to make a priority on this to get this to our liking as best we can, and then we perhaps I think we should have it reviewed by community development,
Yes.
and perhaps send it by the mayor's office as at least a minimum for their review and any input. And I think we can enact this with just a majority vote on our own part as our rules and regulations. And we then file an official copy with the city clerk's office. I'll double check on the legal way of actually making the rules and regulations as official document. I think the part of just the regular historical commission of kind of supporting the heritage of the city for the city, which we've been kind of doing, I think that's probably not any big issue on that. And just how we do how we create officers and how often we vote on it, and any procedures for kind of general meetings. But I think the second part of it, where we're actually having hearings instead of regular meetings, which take a kind of a longer notice period. And these would be hearings for the local historic district or the Monument Park Historic District Administration. And the duties that we as a local historic district commission have to prepare guidelines and to, I guess, rule upon appropriateness of any changes that would happen within that local historic district that we finally gotten the boundary map a month or so ago, and I think we all have a copy of that. And really setting up, so the property owners in the district, which are the old Historical Society building on Grove Street, the old post office, new district courthouse, the old currently vacant courthouse, the Monument Park in itself, Christchurch property, and the YMCA building,
Right.
the main library building and the children's library building, all of the library property, and the Fay Club and the Lucy's Barn to the rear, I believe, are all in it. So what?
Did you mention that the two properties on Hartwell Street, Keith?
Those are not in the historic district outline that was approved in 1975, 78, or whenever it was.
Yeah, that's about right. That was a result of the Historic Study Committee.
Yeah, so those two houses are not on it, although they are in the inventories. Those two houses are in the National Register District that include all of those buildings that are north of Main Street, but not the library and not Fay Club. So that's different.
Do you have do you have the Grove Street from a historic society building?
That is in the local historic
Oh,
district.
okay.
So it is the bigger, the one that our local historic commission has guidelines and certificates of appropriateness are the bigger ones, including the library, Fay Club, Lucy's Barn, but not the two buildings on the two houses on Hartwell Street.
Do we need something for them?
If we wanted to add those two houses to the local historic district, we would need to form a study committee and make a report and make a recommendation for amendments to that. That's something we can do in the future, but what I would like to do is just, what we have now, what was in the original map, in the original ordinance, that we have a process for when the library goes through its major renovation,
Right.
when the old courthouse is sold to a new developer, when the Fay Club wants to take down the back addition, or that's hypothetical, but anything that might.
Actually, that's Stratton Playhouse is trying to raise money for that building. They've been working on it.
Correct, and we did do a review on that several years ago,
Yep.
and we weren't really doing it totally officially, or we didn't have the correct formats. We did make recommendations, they did make changes, and everything kind of turned out, I think, appropriately done.
Well, I'm a little confused because my memory tells me that the Fay Club didn't want to be part of the original local district because they didn't want to have us dictate. And then, so I may be wrong on that. I know there were discussions, and that was a long time ago. So my understanding was that they applied on their own, years later.
I think what I've noticed is that there are different things. There's the inventory forms that were done locally for that, like all the MACRIS listings that are just inventories. There are applications for National Register designation, And then there is the local historic district that's strictly Fitchburg ruled. So there's three different sets of kind of guidelines. And the surveys in MACRIS, there are several. There's a Monument Park Historic District. There's a Monument Park Expanded Area inventory. There's the National Register application, and exactly what National Register has finally, or their final decision on what the district is like, which is the National Register. In other words, if you go to the National Register archives, it is nothing south of Main Street is included in the National Register district. So the library, Fay Club, and Lucy's Barn are not included in the National Register district.
So we need to do that somehow, right?
If we, now the Fay,
Because the library, I'm sure, is going to be looking for help
well,
financially.
but National Register designation will not allow, it's all a public institution, so they can't go for tax credits or anything on that.
But okay. But Fay Club is a private.
The Fay Club is registered individually as a National Register property, not as a district, but as a property.
Okay.
So, so there's a lot of things kind of that can be confusing to everybody.
Okay.
So there's the National Register district that is Monument Park, everything north of Main Street that do include the two houses on Hartwell Street.
Mm-hmm.
The church, YMCA, two courthouses, and the Historical Society building on Grove Street.
Mm-hmm.
That's National Register district. Fay Club is a National Register property individually. Oh, and the site of the old Trinitarian church that is a new brick office building.
That's right. That's right.
And the armory, the whole armory building is in all of those districts. It's in the National Register, it's in the local historic district, it's in all the inventories. So the rules and regulations would govern changes to the Fay Club, for the local historic district, would include kind of all of the larger portion of it, except for the two houses on Hartwell Street.
Okay. One thing that I thought of today, which I hadn't thought of before, is that the Historical Society building on Grove Street is privately owned now. And do we have, is it appropriate for us to notify the owner?
I think we talked about the last meeting that maybe just since it's been 25, 35, 45 plus or minus years ago, that it would be good to notify the owners in the local historic district again of the status and of the rules and regulations that they would be under. And maybe that's why I think it's important to get these rules and regulations reviewed.
Okay.
And into a final status that we adopt. And then we can send those along to the various property owners so they understand the process. If they are going to be making a renovation or whatever that needs a building permit or demolition or whatever, that they would go through the proper process. We'd also, obviously want the building commissioner and building inspectors to be aware of this, that anytime there's a permit that comes through for work on these properties, that the building commissioner would also notify them of the requirement to apply for certificate of appropriateness or denial, or what the
Mhm.
certificates are doing. So it's important that the rules and regulations, I think that we adopt these sooner than later. And then we can kind of move forward with these, actually administering, particularly the local historic district guidelines,
Mhm.
particularly for the, maybe obviously the Grove Street building, the Old Historical Society, the courthouse, YMCA building. These are certainly buildings that potentially,
Be developed.
and obviously the library that the library has already contacted us about, and talking about preliminary changes, and allowing them to know what the official procedures and guidelines are. So they're just saying, okay, what are the standards we need to meet? I think we have to spell those out. And
Okay.
the draft rules and regulations have guidelines in there that I think we should all look at very closely. Ideally, if you have time in the next week to take a look at them and make comments and get back to everybody in the group with your comments of what they are, so that we're happy with them, then I would like to very soon send a copy of our draft rules and regulations to Planning and Development and to the building commissioner for their input, because I think the building commissioner is going to be directly involved with the process. And I think
Yes.
Planning and Development should certainly be aware of it in all of their functions of development in the city, being aware of it, and that they can make recommendations and pretty much buy into what we're talking about as far
Mhm.
as what these represent. So I'm suggesting we make these a priority, just because we've never had them, but
Right.
because of the
Well-
potential development that it's going to take a couple months to really get it into officially adopted. So let's move on this is my proposal.
Well, may I suggest that I've gone through them once, and I had very, very few questions, and some things I underlined for my own, to remind myself that I think this is important. So if we plan to have have made a decision about them and listed whatever changes we want to make, how would that be? Or if we see any that are needed.
Sure, if maybe a good way to do it for everybody who has a copy of it, if you can either use your editing tool in Word documents to make your comments, or just I think
Approve them.
there are page numbers, if you just want to
Yes,
refer
there are.
to a page number and a certain paragraph and certain wording and your suggested changes that way, or going through it and making your Word document edits in it, so we can kind of see the edits and have a master document that gets updated from that. And hopefully within a month or two, we can have this in a final draft form for, yes, Charles.
Hi, Keith, what specific document, where can I find that specific document? What date did that email get sent out?
I think that was the 22nd, that first one you referred.
Oh, okay, I have it printed out then, okay.
It looks something like this.
Hold on one second. Rules and regulation. City of Massachusetts rules and regulations. Nope, I downloaded something different. But I'll look for that. It was probably on the 22nd as well.
Now, I can resend it if anybody would like. So.
I just want to make sure I'm reviewing the right.
Yeah, it
Yes.
has.
I got it. I have it. Thank you.
Keith, do you have a deadline for us to get notes back to you or comments back to you?
Sure, let's set up a deadline.
That
Um,
helps me. So,
Okay. 1 week, 2 weeks, what works for,
I can do it by next Friday.
Me, but I'm not. I don't have any working responsibilities, so 1 week is fine for me.
Yeah, I agree. That's fine.
okay, so if we can, everybody take a look and get back to the group by next Thursday, that would be great.
Okay.
All right. And this is just to then take it to the next review level. Our building commissioner has certainly has experience from his past positions with I think local historic districts, and Mark might have some good comments on it. I think that the planning and development, Tom's office, should get a look at it after we're happy with it also. And I don't know if we need to, or if our if town city council has time to review it or not, if it's in kind of the right format for rules and regulations. I've tried to pick up things. Brookline is a town, so everything that towns have bylaws, and I believe cities have ordinances.
Yes,
So
we do.
I've tried to make those changes, and I've tried to make the references to Brookline bylaws and make sure the numbers are correct, or at least highlight them. In this next week, I'll try to make sure we're referring to the correct City of Fitchburg ordinances if there are references to
Yeah.
other
Well,
ordinances.
You have like question marks after the ordinance.
Yes, those couple of spots.
I was going to ask you if you wanted me to do that, wanted me to check it.
If you can, that would be great.
Yeah, that would give me an excuse to go out. Okay.
All right. Yeah, let us know what you find on that. That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ellen.
You're welcome.
All right. Now I think at the end, I have terminology where specifically where it's referring to chairperson, chairman, or chair. That's something I think that we should be consistent on. And
I like chairperson.
How about just chair?
Mhm.
Megan, what do you say?
I like chair too.
yep. University, we just use chair for things
Okay,
like
that's
that.
fine.
So if I'll go back through and change chairperson to chair. Brookline had a vice chairperson.
I saw that, yeah.
And because our original setup said that there should be a secretary and a chair, it didn't make any mention of a vice chairperson. So I think I will pull, I think there's one or two references still in here, vice chairperson. So I don't think we legally can have that until we change our ordinance. So I'll pull that out. There is mention that, any two people on the commission can make a motion for a vote on anything, to either counter the chairperson or to, if the chairperson is not there, to vote somebody in charge. I think that's in the rules and regulations.
It is.
So maybe the vice chair is not necessary at this time, so.
Okay.
Usually a vice chair would also step in if the chair was not available to run a meeting too. So what do you do in that situation?
I think if the chair isn't there, but you do have a quorum, I think that a motion can be made and approved by the majority for a person to lead the meeting. for
Yeah,
that
there
particular
is,
meeting.
I was just trying to find it because you have something in here.
Now, Brookline
that.
had something in there that kind of covered that, I think, so,
Mhm.
all right.
Okay,
Now, and Brookline had some of it, and I put in some things just to make sure there's an understanding, a difference between a meeting of the Historical Commission and a hearing of the Historical Commission. There are two different types of meetings that need different notices. And the hearing is primarily for the certificate of appropriateness for the local historic district project or building. And that does need a butters notices and I think a 2-week notice and posting to make that official. Those are things that we can get input back from other city departments and things also.
yeah,
Just-
I think that those comments, you may have, there's a Mass General Law number. I'll check on that. On the regular cities ordinance. Is that what you want me to do?
Sure, the difference, yeah, there's ordinance regulations. I didn't look those up, so if you could double check those, Ellen, that would be great.
Okay.
Okay, so
Okey-doke.
any other thoughts or questions? So this, if we could kind of focus on this for the next, in the next 7 days, and we will, I will take your comments. We'll make an updated draft for everybody to take a look at for kind of final comments, and we can perhaps by the next meeting or before, we can, if we wanted to approve kind of a final draft through this process at this meeting, that we, if we think it's appropriate, we can actually send it to the building commissioner and planning and development before next meeting, or do we want to wait till next meeting to make that decision?
I think it'd be good to get comments back from the various departments and then have a final draft for the board to review. And then we could make our vote then.
So if after this week, this next 7 days, I get everybody's comments, I will create a new draft and actually send it to building commissioner for their review and to Tom's office for his review. Is that okay with the rest of you folks?
Yes, it's fine.
Okay, and I think that would speed it up a little bit. Maybe we have some comments back by March meeting and, or somewhere in that area. And then maybe we can move along with those comments and then create a more final draft there, or that we can, with our vote, we can approve it and get it enacted and file it with the city clerk's office. And actually put it on our website also, so that anybody that has can see openly and publicly produced if somebody has in that local historic district. And we can also include that with our updated letter to all of the property owners in the local historic district. And here is the current rules and regulations and that the commission operates with.
Okay, and I'll have a draft of the letter to Jimmy Pappas too for you.
Okay, and we can that can be sent to all of the property owners if we all think it's appropriate. So.
Okay, but he has bought the building, and I don't know if he has any understanding of what it means to open.
Yep. And,
I mean, to own one.
yep. And, perhaps the same with the Christ Church, certainly the new YMCA owners and the Fake Club Control Board, et cetera. So, and the Armory, the city buildings, et cetera. So, okay, great. Yeah, a drafted letter of notice, that a cover letter that can go along with our rules and regs.
Okay,
Great, thank you, Ellen.
you're welcome.
All right. 7 days. And- Okay. Any more comment on rules and regulations? Okay. Number 4, update on proposed demolition delay ordinance. I don't know if we've made much progress in this. Maybe this we can stall a month, but maybe use this month to kind of finalize it instead of sending both things to the same people.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't, excuse me, I don't mean to interrupt, but I couldn't find the demolition delay ordinance. And so I will get a copy. If somebody would just send me a copy.
I'll get you a copy, Ellen.
Okay, thank you. I thought I had it, Keith, but I couldn't find it. So, okay, thank you.
And we had some minor discussion last month on the demo delay of I think the time period that we would be proposing. I did watch a short webinar that Mass Historical put on in, what is this month? In January, I believe it was. Jen Doherty had put it on. And an interesting point that she made was saying that, the delay period is obviously just a delay period, and that the owner can do full demolition after the delay period is over. And that the intent of the delay period is for things to happen in that delay period. It's important that the historical commission do proactive things at that time.
Okay.
Meeting with the owner, finding alternatives, helping the owner find alternative solutions to their particular problem, not just kind of standing back and then waiting for the clock to tick down and what it is. So it is to make it successful. And she said that most demolition delays, most of them do end up probably in the demolition of the building or part of the building. And it is, that they're just waited out, or that, there's some solution found kind of ahead of time that kind of mitigates that particular thing happening.
Right.
So it is, it's an action time by the commission and the people interested in it. It's, you just can't say, well, we're going to punish you for a month, and we can,
Right.
or 6 months or 12 months and it gets demolished anyhow. It is a kind of a proactive period where the commission has an opportunity then to kind of work on it.
Well, what comes to mind, and by the way, I don't know where my friend Annie Simons Clifford is, but I've called several times, and I will again. truthfully, I am so disappointed that that building was torn down. Of course, we didn't know about it, and I did think that maybe we should find, well, I actually, if we meet with the building commissioner and we meet with Tom, discussing these things, and the mayor's office has an idea that perhaps, a building that had such significance, refer it to us for discussion, because if that's just going to be a storage, a warehouse, I don't see why they couldn't have kept the building, but it's too late.
Correct. When I talked to Tom, I don't know, maybe a year ago about demolition delay, just kind of on the side, and he might be very skeptical of it, because the city has for a long time with block grant funds been able to demolish a lot of buildings in the name of redevelopment or cleaning up neighborhoods or problem types of buildings.
Mm-hmm.
So, in some ways, that might be one of our challenges to, obviously have them involved in the delay period and allowing, for alternatives to, things that may be quasi-public safety types of issues in our community, of how these things can be looked at in different ways, as far as particularly in not all cases, but perhaps in some cases where
Right.
saving the building would be important. So having that dialogue without just unilaterally kind of getting the list that comes in from the building inspector or from health and safety or something, and it's
Well,
just looked at in one viewpoint and not broadly. So.
right. Well, I just found out yesterday, quite by accident, that there were two buildings on Main Street that are for sale. The city, they've been apparently under the jurisdiction of the city for non-payment of taxes. At least that's my understanding. I will verify that. And I have to say, my eyes popped, and I thought, oh Lord, we've got to find out. I haven't had a chance to have somebody take me downtown to see which ones they are, but I will. I just found out yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, let us all know about which ones they are.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I just want, I can get you the my friend was going to check the street numbers. She thought she knew them, but she said she'd get back to me, in a day or two. And then I want, we can all at our own time, go and look at them. But I'm wondering if it's the old YMCA building. I don't know, but if nobody buys it, they might tear it down, because I have heard that the roof needed replacement, and I think the owner of that building is the Hackelas, and I think they also own the old Brooks's Army Navy building. So I'll check on that. I'll try to do that tomorrow. I've made a note anyway, because I'm curious.
Ellen, that Brooks building that you just mentioned, I think that actually has a new owner. I don't know who it is, but Ken Posco just told me about that a few weeks ago. He said that somebody recently purchased that.
Which one is that? 'Cause I'm not familiar.
On the corner of Oliver and Main Street. It would be catty corner to the Johnstonia.
Oh, is that where the Prudential Life is? Not Prudential.
No, it's actually vacant now, but years ago, the last thing that was in it was an Army Navy store.
Yeah, but you said you were talking to Kenny?
Yeah, he said somebody bought that recently because he was shaking his head like, who would want to buy that?
I know,
Of course.
I know that there's been some
I
new,
think I'm gonna call. I really, my stomach flipped when I heard that there were two that had been in tax title. But the other thing that we could ask for, which I didn't think of either, is that we could be given a list of all the properties that are in tax title, because there's a committee of the council that deals with city property. So they know. I won't get into my own experience, but I chaired that committee years ago, and I saved a couple of them, but I had completely forgotten until I heard that news yesterday. But I won't belabor the subject. I'll get the numbers for you, or the street numbers.
Okay. All right. All right, so that's demolition delay ordinance. I think, do we have a general thought as we are getting this updated for one is kind of the review period? Are we looking at in our initial proposal for going before city council to create an ordinance? We're looking at the delay period of 12 months, full year. And they go from anywhere from like 6 months to 18 months. There may be some towns or city that are up to 24 months, but I think 18 is one of the higher time periods, and 6 is one of the lower ones, I think.
Well, I wonder if we had the 6 months, if it would expedite, information from the city, if the city's selling the property, or from the the realtors or something. I don't know. I think 6 months would be plenty of time, but maybe not. I've got to think about that more. Does anyone else have thoughts?
Yeah, I do. I think 12 months at least, because things move slowly, and I don't think 6 months. If they
Okay.
move slowly and the 6 months lapses, then the building gets torn down without any proper review. But if we have a 12-month delay, then we have some extra time to get things moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I
But I
agree.
think I'll speak to the president of the council about how the building committee works these days. City property,
Yeah.
And how that works.
Yeah, and this would obviously,
Just some background information.
yeah. And if you don't mind, I can take a look at the ordinance in the next few days or a week and see if I can find that language. I'm not quite sure where it is. Or Don, do you have the last and you want to update that?
Yes, I'm working on it now, and I took what you said about bylaws, because we have bylaw in here, but it's obviously an ordinance.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So I
And-
corrected that. I've changed 6 months to 12 months.
okay.
Okay.
And then think we originally had 50 years for the buildings, but I think we went to add a phrase about or historically significant. So 50 years or more old or historically significant. Because what if
The
you have a
question-
historically significant building that's not 50 years old?
The only thing with that, Don, is it's going to give them an argument against us saying, well, who's going to decide what's historically significant? And it's
Well,
gonna be a
it's
whole
an
back and forth
add-on.
argument.
Yeah, well, the point is, if we have 50 years or 100 years, then they can say, well, it's not 50 years old, but, or 100 years old. But if we can add on historic or historically
I
significant.
know. I'm just looking for things that's gonna make this be accepted, because we had such a hard time with it last time. That
Okay.
adding in anything that's gonna give people ammunition against it. You remember the ammunition they had with just doing a year. Can you imagine what they're gonna say when you say, well, who's gonna decide? You know, you're gonna decide because everything's historical to you. So no, we're not doing that. That's just how it's gonna play out. I'm thinking, just
Yeah,
going
well,
by.
maybe everything is historically significant.
Well, exactly. See, that's, and I'm on your side, but I'm just saying, I'm just trying to get people to accept this with minimal argument. And so I'm just bringing that up. I don't disagree with you. I'm just bringing it up.
Yeah, I know everything is double-edged. And there's also something to be argued, an argument made that we should put more in our draft of the ordinance that we send so that we have some negotiating room. Whereas if we just have 6 months delay, they can say, they can negotiate us down. Well, we'll pass it if there's 0 months delay.
Right.
Which makes no sense, but. No.
Yeah.
Well, the issue that I think about is if it has to do with a business. I mean, we don't have what I consider a healthy business base here, and I have observed in my lifetime at times that if something appears to be something a business wants or something, you're expected to give an answer quickly. So, but we can talk about that.
Yeah. Megan,
As I say, I'm very sorry that I've misplaced or whatever the demo. I will go over it carefully.
okay, I'll make a copy of that for you also and drop that off.
Thank you.
Ellen,
You-
what building did you say that that Pappas purchased? I'm sorry, Keith, I didn't mean to cut you off.
The Simons building.
Oh, he's
That
the one about
There
that.
was a huge amount of interest in the building because it was the first windowless factory.
No, I know. I drove by there a couple weeks ago. I wasn't expecting the whole thing to be gone. Sorry to bring that up.
I have to tell you that tears rolled down my face and I was mad at myself.
All right, Keith, I didn't mean to bring that up now. I thought you were finished speaking.
Megan had some comment on demo.
Yeah, so Worcester also has the same language of 12 months and historically significant. And what they, because I was on the historical commission in Worcester for a couple years, and what they use as their way to back that statement up is section 106 of from the National Historic Preservation Act, which has, what is historically significant. And it can be something from the 70s or something from the 80s. But if you look at that, if you look at the language in that, that's going to help you back that statement up.
So what is that? That's the Worcester?
Well, no, I would, no, look at the section 106 of the National Historic Preservation Act.
Okay.
And that's what most historic commissions use for that demolition delay too.
Could you send a reference that to everybody?
Yep.
Okay, that'd be good.
Oh, I'm looking through my papers like I have it, and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I have that.
Sure. I can't comment on this Zoom for some reason, but I can send an email out to folks.
Don, with your updates that you're doing now, sometime soon after the meeting, could you just send a new updated copy to everybody?
Well, I sent one to you. And
Okay.
maybe you want to take a look at it before I send it out to everyone.
Okay, or I can send it out to everyone or back to you with comments. Okay, well, good discussion. I think there was something that I haven't added into it, but I remember seeing it on the listserv maybe a year or so ago of, I think it was Southbridge had or Chicopee or something like that, had a piece in it that also said that the owner had to show good faith in selling the building at market rate, through mobile listing, real estate listing type of thing during this period, or the demolition delay could continue or something like that of wording it, that, the alternative is that, sell the building to somebody that's not going to demolish it. If it's something you don't want it. So, giving an out that somebody just is not delaying it and they want to do that, but they're saying, well, it's, to be worth something, I have to tear the building down. And, have they actually put it on the market in good faith for the assessed value of it? So I'll see if I can find that and see if it's as a proposed amendment to what we already have. So
Maynard has an excellent webpage for their historic commission. I would highly suggest looking at that too.
What? Megan, I couldn't quite hear you.
Maynard,
The town of Maynard has an excellent webpage for their historic commission.
Mhm.
I would look at that too.
and they have a demo delay there too that would.
But
Okay.
everything is laid out in very clear language for everyone to understand. It doesn't use jargon and things like that. It's a great webpage.
Super, thank you. All right, any other thoughts on the demo delay? And we will concurrently, along with the rules and regs, let's keep that moving along also. And our goal is by March to have something we would like to send out to other city officials. And I think the game plan, like I mentioned at some of the last meetings, is that we individually, particularly those of you who live in Fitchburg, that you speak with your own council representative for your district, and
Yep.
at large council members that you have connections with, and broach the subject and offer to review it with them, and be ready to kind of sell, in your own districts and your acquaintances with council people, so that we pre-sell this, so they become advocates. And, if possible, have your neighbors be involved in this, and others that you know of in historic preservation. Perhaps, I don't know if we can get the board of the historical commission to endorse it or something. And
Well, that's not a bad idea.
I don't know if that would have any piece and even realtors or whatever that might understand it. And I don't know if we have any spokespeople in our area that could be able to give some positive feedback
Mhm.
and testimony. So we're prepared, and the council is aware of it ahead of time. We have endorsement of the building commissioner. We have endorsement of planning and development. Perhaps the planning board or something. I'm just trying to open this up. This is politics. It is.
No, that's it. Yeah, it is political. There's no question. It's I certainly can do some of that because I do know some of those people well.
Yeah, and the mayor, and find out what their issues are and be able to get answers back to them, so
Well-
that they can be understanding that it's a positive piece for the community.
I think that it would be a good idea to have at least a final draft in hand when we meet with them.
Yes, so just be thinking about who you might contact, and
I'll make a list.
great. We know.
So
that
I
you-
looked at Maynard Historical Society, Historical Commission, that as Megan recommended, and they do have a definition of historically significant building, which I think is pretty good. And they also have an 18-month delay on demolition. So it's a rather strong ordinance. Actually, it's a bylaw because I guess they're a town.
Mhm.
Terrific. Thanks, Megan
Sure.
and Don. And maybe Don, if you think it's appropriate, you want to put in that additional definition, maybe put it
Oh,
in
yes.
something as
Okay.
updated information.
Yeah, I'm going to revise what I sent you to include this.
Okay.
Great. All right, any other information discussion on the demolition delay? Proposed ordinance.
No, I think we've got good direction.
Okay. Next item is update on the proposed stonewall preservation ordinance draft.
All right, so you got me thinking, which was never a good thing, Keith, when you questioned patina, and then I thought, well, all right. And then I took up doing that handbook that you suggest I did, which is I sent out just shortly before the meeting. And I wanted to get at the different types of stone walls, because I think even in my own prior approach, I was just thinking of a couple different types, but there are many different types of stone walls, and also depends how one defines them. So if this is a kind of a guidelines for of city officials and for property owners, I think we want to make them aware that it's not a narrow topic. It's really need to be cognizant that there are quite a different kinds of stone walls.
Yes.
So
So maybe we we could identify some. I know of 3 of them right now offhand, and maybe have a picture of them. What do you think?
yes, I thought of that, and because now I'm becoming even more aware as I'm going around and say, oh, that's that kind of stone wall. That's a different kind of stone wall, and that helps to determine what should be done. What is the recommendation of the city to be done for that particular stone wall, and also for preserving historically significant stone walls.
Right.
Because it's one thing to say, oh, that stone wall's falling down, let's just tear it down. But if it had some historical significance, you don't necessarily want to tear it down.
No.
So do we want a stonewall demolition?
Yes, we want to
delay or-
stonewall the ordinance.
Stonewall demolition delay. Or actually, this ordinance is saying there's no delay, you just don't do it.
Hmm.
Or without permission from us or what? Yeah.
Well, I don't see that you're infringing on my freedom to destroy my stone wall. I don't want us to be put in that, with the demolition delay, yeah, I think we do want to be in that position. You cannot demo that building until we have a look at it. With stone walls, it's it's more a matter of getting cooperation. And what I'm thinking in terms of is city officials who may not be aware and conscientious property owners. The property owners who are not conscientious, they're going to tear down their stone wall in the middle of the night. They're going to sell the stone, make a little profit on the side, and there's not too much anybody can do about it. But if we can at least make it make people aware of their significance to the cultural heritage, not only of Fitchburg, but of New England in general. And that many of the stone walls are disappearing. I mean, you can say, oh, well, they're still all around. Yeah, but that's what they said about the passenger pigeon. Oh, they're all around. There are millions of them. And then the next thing you know, they're gone.
Yeah. The other thing that is interesting, and I used to do this, friends of mine, we would identify stone walls that didn't appear to be not necessarily owned. And in our spare time, we used to dig in front of them, not the outside, but in front of them, because oftentimes there were old bottles. It might have been a place if it was far enough away from, the house or whatever building was on, it was. And we found some really nice old bottles that we kept. I have to admit, I never thought that we shouldn't do it, but we did. I had one friend who was very successful in finding some unusual ones, but we could also tell people that they should do a little, scraping around the stone wall to see if they might find a bottle or something. And that's just an aside, nothing that has to be included.
Previous to waste management and landfills, we took care of our own trash and our compost and things. We burned it. We threw it over the wall, maybe our neighbor's property, or we just had a pit or something like that. That's why old wells, old outhouse privy holes, and over the old stone wall. And we have some here in our own backyard. And there's all kinds of crap out there. But that's kind of a good point. So the author that Don talked about had noted that several communities do have an ordinance making it or bylaw that makes it an official town or city protection. And we are trying to use that here in Fitchburg. And kind of my pet thing was, well, we should include certainly not just the colonial development area, stone walls and things later than that too, but our quarried stones that come from our own Rollstone Hill
Right.
quarry areas and things that are, certainly representative of our community's heritage and workmanship and, families worked at it. And, these are not imported from Vermont or New Hampshire or whatever. We have our own stone here that we have, so.
Mhm.
Well, getting back to Don's kind of a handbook of ideas of what things are, should that be, are we, can that be incorporated as part of the definition of for the ordinance? Or are we thinking more of a handbook as kind of enlightening the community of the educationally about stone walls and the heritage they have? Are we making it a law? Or are we making it
A regulation.
a regulation, or are we making it as an educational tool?
Well, I think it is. It certainly is an educational tool. Perhaps Don, did Maynard have it as a regulation, or how did they present it? How did it become part of the city's responsibility?
Oh, Maynard for the stone walls? I don't know.
Yeah.
What communities have the ordinance or bylaw right now?
Oh, was that Maynard?
I know
I-
when I worked in Sudbury, they had one.
Yeah, I copied from a nearby town. I forget which it was though.
Yeah.
I'll check on that.
As with the demo,
Okay.
as with the demo delay, I think our presentation to the city council and privately and publicly presenting as we talk about other communities like Fitchburg that have a demo delay, other communities that have a stonewall ordinance as we present this. We're not just thinking this up as kind of something new. This is something that's recognized in other communities, trying to maintain the important physical aspects of our heritage, including stone walls, including
Okay.
buildings and structures and things like that. So it's kind of in some ways, it's kind of like the demo delay, and if what we're talking about, which is an educational thing, a time delay. The stone wall ordinance is a little bit different, saying you cannot do it, and you can do it to these degrees, or you can remove it after review by whom? The planning board, historical commission, building commissioner, or you can make these changes, like making a roadway entrance or something, but maintaining the rest of the wall.
Mhm.
So maybe with Don, you've been working on it. Do you think what are your thoughts at this point? You talked about the handbook as kind of a separate thing. Is that something it just becomes definition that we could have at the beginning of the ordinance of?
Well, it depends. It's getting longer. So it may be better to have it as a separate entity and then reference it in the ordinance. Because I referenced Thorson's book, but who's going to go out and buy the book? How many people are going to? But if there's an online handbook that they can easily access without having to buy it.
Or could it be an appendices to this?
Or it could be an appendix. Yeah, sure.
So it's,
Yeah.
you still don't have to make the effort of going out and looking at it. Here it is. It's only,
Yes.
it could be condensed down to a page, I think, with, the double spacing and stuff taken out of it. So it could be, here's a definition or
show 2 or 3 examples.
Yep, that's
You know,
possible.
Charles took pictures.
Well, Thorson had, I counted them, Thorson has 18 different kinds of stone walls. Maybe we could divide it up. Each of us take, what, three pictures of 3 different kinds of stone walls.
Yeah, I have that.
Okay.
I have that.
Just let me know.
Yeah, I sent Don a picture of one in Princeton here that's probably about 8 feet across. It's a double stone wall with infill in it, but it is huge. It was a kind of a major. I was going to find out what the real name of it was. I'd heard from a historian here in Princeton.
I know I have a meeting. Zoom
It was
meeting.
a major property division, or some of the original divisions of the land that were big demarcations. And then who knows, it could have been some farmer just getting rid of the rocks and putting them neatly in a wide wall. So anyways, maybe for time wise, Don, are you game on just kind of taking another look at that and sending out a new edition? Or
Yes, I'll take another look at it and send it out. Yes.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. You're doing lots of stuff there. Appreciate it. Item number 6, update on Simon Saw and Steel, sponsoring historic documentation.
Well, I'm still trying to reach the member of the family. I don't know if they've gone away for the winter, or I knew that they were in California for our last meeting. So I'll keep. I've just, periodically I just try their number.
Okay, this is something that, the building's down, and the documentation.
And I
Hopefully-
have that it would cost about $5,000.
That's kind of initial guess, yeah, but somewhere
Yeah.
on that, so, okay. Update on historic districts information brochure, map information, signage, web posting, and Fitchburg State faculty-led student project coordinating the ongoing last fall and spring. At the end of January, or beginning of January, we had our kind of first draft of the 12
The brochure.
12 panel brochure. I'm not sure, are any of you interested in seeing that? I could show a quick image of that on screen.
Have you got an update of it?
I have, from that January draft, there's a lot of holes and things in it. I just sent my comments on it to JJ and to Morgan, the graphic designer that was working on it.
Mhm.
Some updates on the district boundaries and some questions on the graphics. And I think I copied Charles and Ellen that were other members on the committee.
Mhm.
And we kind of had this committee that's working on it, Charles and
Yeah.
Ellen and me, and Don, excuse me.
Dawn.
And we're meeting, so that is the paper brochure, and we're including 6 districts in it. These are National Register historic districts, being Moran Square, Monument Park, Upper Common, that's
Jim Francis.
Upper Common, that's in process and not approved by National Park Service yet, but it's pending approval. The Academy Street district, which is pending approval. Crocker Field, which is approved district place with many entries to it, and the HM Francis overlay district. These are National Register districts that are showing up on one of the 3-panel overlay of a map of kind of downtown's Main Street area. With each of these outlined in districts and then connected to a full panel on the reverse side that gives a brief description of it. And we're hoping to have a smartphone QR code type of thing in it that can take somebody to an advanced search, or at least have a website of the inventory form, if you will, that represents that particular area. And these include 2 pending districts that we hope to have, or hopefully National Parks will be giving approval on those, at which time we would update the brochure, printed brochure, to include that and any online types of things that would be accessed. So the brochure could be one, be on our our official city website as a kind of a PDF document that people could download. It also, we would seek funds to have it printed in color and available at City Hall, the library, and various other spots also. So this was kind of following the Salem one, but these are National Register and not local historic districts. For Monument Park, I'm proposing to our committee is that we actually show the local historic district boundaries on the same brochure also, and make a quick mention of this is different than the National Register Monument Park District. This is the local historic districts, and maybe have a link to our rules and regulations on the administration of that. Just a brief description, the difference between it, the Monument Park boundaries for the local and for the National Register. It's confusing for us. It would be confusing for the public if we didn't show both of those different iterations.
I think that's a good, I think that's important.
Yeah, so one of them includes the library and the Fay Club, and the National Register one, which is all the other districts on the brochure, would not include those south of Main Street properties on it. So there's that differentiation, and we have it in a graphic guide somehow. And having those links. The second part of it is the students are already working on these 6 districts, plus several other kind of interesting sites downtown that will have the second semester students are creating digital links that could be found on the Clio site, CLIO. And if you haven't checked out that site, it's called the Clio, THECLIO.org or com. And
Did you say CH?
CLIO, Clio.
Okay.
And you can look it up on your smartphone, or it's a website. It's for nonprofits and institutions, and it's particularly for heritage spots in Fitchburg. There are currently 22 sites that are posted by 2 institutions. One, the Historical Society, has about half of those, and the other half have been posted by the Fitchburg Art Museum, representing primarily outside artworks in mainly downtown Fitchburg area.
Like statues and things.
Statues, wall paintings, certain monuments, like Monument Park, the main monument, and who the sculptor was, the upper common monuments, if you will, the art museum.
First World War,
Yep.
fire department, and I think
Yeah,
Vietnam-
I don't know if the
Vietnam
fire
War.
department one is in, but I think a couple of the war memorial ones are. And so we're trying not to over duplicate what has already been done. but we are putting in some sites, including the old depot building, a site that can show the old depot, also a site that shows the old Trinitarian church that's actually in the Monument Park area, and another site that just for City Hall itself that doesn't necessarily have a good historical background, although it's part of the Upper Common, and it's
And H.M. Francis.
it's mentioned in H.M. Francis that he did the addition. The addition's pretty much
Deleted.
almost deleted. Some of the bricks are still there, but I think just the history of the building, et cetera, also. So that's, the students are working hard on this, and we're trying to keep up with them. So we're giving them the right data. So their input is correct on this. So we have a lot of work before the semester's end, which will be happening quickly here. So that, and in the process, the brochure designer is also hoping, is online to help us design actual signage that would be appropriate, or street signage for these major parts in our city. So though walking or driving on Main Street area, areas in near these areas, that we could have coordinated signage for these things that people could look up, and perhaps there is a QR code for additional digital information, so that people can make their own kind of guided tours, if you will, just by following the signage, or get interested. I've walked by this several times. There's a QR code. Let me find out some more about it. So that is to be done yet, and that design work hopefully will be starting with next week's meeting. It's actually a week from today, on Thursday at 3:30.
And that's at the college.
That's going to be a virtual online meeting only, I think.
Okay, Dawn, could you come over so we could watch it together?
Oh, sure. I could do that.
Okay, that would be good. Thank you.
So in calendar 3:30 next Thursday, the 10th, I think it is. The third, March
The
3rd.
third, yeah.
And I think JJ just sent out a link to that a couple hours ago.
Okay.
Anybody else interested in that, Megan or Sam? If you are, let me know. Okay. Filling vacancy on the commission. Megan had a real estate person that might be interested. Any update from her?
So I was away for a week or so. Before that, I was really busy with some work stuff. But I emailed her today just to invite her to this meeting and to see if she was available. And I didn't hear back from her, but she is interested. She might be away too right now, who knows, but so she is interested. Her name's Tracy Sladen. She's a realtor in the downtown. She's really focusing on the downtown area, so I thought she'd be perfect. She's actually the property manager too for that Foreign Square building, the gray stone building. So she really knows the area very well. So I think she'll be good.
If she is interested, and perhaps if she has a little resume or a little bit of background, that we would be happy, or I'd be happy to submit her name to the mayor's office. And with this information and with the approval of everybody else, that would be a good infill. And actually having a realtor is one of the required positions on the commission. If you look through your rules and regulations and the original ordinance, it's actually saying, pick from 2 names or something like that out for the local realtor board. But if we haven't a person that's interested and particularly involved with Fitchburg, it would be great to have Brad as our seventh member. So any time that she says yes on that, have her send the information and we'll get the ball rolling on it.
Will do.
Thank you. Last meeting, Ellen said she would like to have on this agenda the Wallace Building stones. And
Well, we don't have to discuss it today, but I would like it on an agenda. Just, I have to, I mean, Megan is taking care of them. Megan's taking care of them, and she's been successful in getting a company to utilize the property.
terrific. All right. So we'll, you want to extend that on to next meeting or,
Yes, please.
okay. Next thing is historic marker. We have, I don't know if you're interested, I could send out a log. We have about 30 some markers that have been made, most of them posted on buildings. Our sign painter died in the end of December.
Oh,
Bob Leonard, who was kind of our artisan that did these handmade, hand-painted signs. And I'm trying to get in contact to his daughter, who's living heir, who lives in Providence. And I haven't gotten any response back from her. So we have actually 3 signs that were in process that I don't think he finished from kind of early December. They were submitted, and I'm trying to get the funds back, or if she's an artisan herself, I believe, see if she can complete them or not. But I'm not been able to make contact, so we have a little bit of financial obligation out there to get people's money back on 3 signs, and we have 1 new marker for a house on Mechanic Street. The application that's come in, and I've told them that we're out of a painter at the moment to hold off, or I'm holding off on submitting it. But if anybody has thoughts of a new sign painter, a company or local artisans that may want to do this for quality, long-lasting signs, let me know. We should fill this gap in right away.
Okay.
I don't know if it's something we could bring before the Cultural Commission to see if we have any local artists that would be interested in that. I would be
I
happy.
think that would be a good idea.
Who would I contact, Ellen?
I'll get you her number. She had that lovely art gallery. Tamar is her first name. I can't remember her last name, but I just wrote myself a note to get her telephone number. She lives in Fitchburg.
yeah. Tamar Russell Brown.
Say it again.
Tamar Russell Brown.
Yes, that's it.
How do you spell it? K-A-Y?
Tamar.
Tia as in Timothy. Yeah.
Russell?
Russell Brown.
Yeah.
And she's with the Cultural Commission or an artist herself, or?
Well,
She's with the Fitchburg Cultural Alliance, and she has been for a long time. And she had that beautiful art gallery next to Shacks.
Okay,
She's living in Fitchburg, but I'll give her a call because I want to talk to her again about considering coming back.
okay. Have her give me a call then too, and I can give her the details on the
Okay.
sign stuff.
Yep, I'll do that tomorrow.
Terrific. Thanks, Ellen.
Hey, I remember you and I looked together years ago. We went to West Arthur. I think we looked at a couple other things. Did did we reach out to, I don't remember who we used as an inspiration for our sign design, but I recall that it was another town in Massachusetts, and I was just wondering, like, I think Concord was one of the ones we looked at. I'm wondering who they use. Do you recall?
I think Sam kind of helped us come up with our design, shape, the color and things like that.
Yeah, that's true. I remember that now.
And,
Yeah.
and we ended up getting Old Colony artisans from a reference from, I think, Princeton and maybe some other towns that were using Bob Leonard also at the time. His were really cheap, $62 for the sign and the mailing and the mounting screws and everything. I didn't think we'll ever get a price like that again. And we're gonna have to change our website and stuff and application form once we get a new one. But I can reach out to some other towns.
Okay, I'll talk to.
Yeah, I was wondering if we have, does anybody on the board have any connections to other people that have towns that have the historic markers, and we can see who makes theirs?
I can call. I made a note to call Salem about something. I'll add the markers.
Yeah. I think that would be a good starting point. It'd be nice if we could get something that's similar to what we've been doing. I hate to see our sign look different, you know?
Yeah, and we can keep the same
There's
design.
also a sign at Riverfront Park, which is the sign itself, is it's like waist high,
Yeah,
and flat.
Yeah.
It's I think it's pretty good. I haven't looked at it in a while, but that's an idea.
Okay.
Keith, did you try calling? Did you have a phone number for them? Or were you just emailing? Because I'm wondering if the daughter is probably not even included on getting access to his emails.
I've emailed Bob's original website. I copied I had his address. I went through deed records and found out who the owner of the house was. It doesn't live in Providence. I had a phone number for her. I was able to call up her and she said, well, he lived with her daughter and this is her name. And I had 3 phone numbers for her. So I've sent her by email, and I've sent 3 different phone numbers for her own jewelry company that she has, Artisan Jewelry, supposedly her home phone and a business phone. All 3 of them went on to messages. I have left long messages. I've really not heard back anything from them. So, Megan, you had a question?
Well, I always like to use my local resources, and I was thinking about maybe reaching out to Monty Tech to see if they could do that.
Good idea.
Just, some personal info. When I got married, I used Worcester Tech for everything. They made my invitations, my wedding cake, everything, and it was great prices, and it was really well done, and it was also educational for the kids, and I really liked that. So
that's a good idea. I'm very familiar with Monty Tech. I do a lot of the photography there, so they're very capable. That's a good idea.
No.
Okay. That's a good suggestion.
Oh, all right,
Reach out to them, see if that's possible. But so long as it's kind of a continuous thing, we have a faculty person there that kind of oversee it. And
I do have some connections at Monty Tech, Keith, if you want me to find out who the best person would be to talk to in the wood shop or whatever shop that would be, or unless you do, you can do it.
I used to have some connections there. I'm not sure if I do now. But
I can get you a connection. My great grandson is a student. I'll get some names. I just added that.
Because I'm thinking that we'd have the wood department, and then you'd also have an art and a creative department that would actually paint it. I'm thinking that the wood kids aren't gonna paint it, but maybe they can have a graphics department. I don't know.
Yeah.
And it could be
Well, it would be
something,
good. I'll try to, when I talk to Salem, I'll ask them if somebody could take a couple of pictures. And then maybe you could take a picture of the sign.
yeah, I have a graphic of it that I can send out.
And ours is on the website too, on this, there's a picture of it on the website.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let me make a,
And before you move on, Keith, from the topic, I just wanted to ask, did the gentleman that passed away, did he cash the checks for those signs?
Yes.
for 3 of them, and Don is one of the outstanding. So one sign for Don and
My money back.
2 signs for,
That's what happens, Don, when you wait too long. We've been trying to get you to get a sign for what, 10 years now?
Yeah, rub it in, why don't you?
2 signs for 5 Prospect Street, which is the small brick
Yeah.
gabled end, the second house up on the right across from the church fellowship hall, the H.M. Francis.
Yes.
And they have a fragment of the rollstone boulder, an internal piece of fragment when it was blasted apart. And when they put it back together again, Humpty Dumpty's yoke was sitting along the roadside, and it was pulled. It was asked to be put in the previous owner's front yard by her. She was
Betsy
I think,
Dion.
a music teacher in Fitchburg High School. And
Yeah, it
she-
was Madeline Gaylor.
Yes, Madeline Gaylor.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
that fragment is still in their front yard. They wanted a
Mhm.
sign for that, and I said, geez, you ought to have a sign for your house too, because that's like an 1840s wonderful gable-ended.
It's precious.
Uh,
It's beautiful. It's lovely.
And so they ordered a sign for their house also. So they
I
get
remember Betsy used to live there.
anyhow.
Who?
Betsy Dion from the Historical Society, didn't she used to live there?
Oh, I think she did. I think she bought it from when Madeline died.
Yeah.
Well, if you'll excuse me, in the meantime, members of my family have come in, so I would like to sign off. This has been a great meeting, and I have my homework, but I've got it written here, and I promise you I'll address it tomorrow.
Terrific. And I'll get you some copies of some of those documents, Ellen.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Thanks,
Bye.
Ellen.
Bye.
You're welcome.
Let's see. So historic markers, the quest is out, just so you're all aware of it. And if you think of things, I think the Monitech is probably a good thing. It's kind of setting up a little kind of rotating business that can go from year to year, hopefully. And any other, the one thing that was pointed out when Charles and I were kind of first researching it was that, a good hand-painted sign can be more durable than some of the kind of vinyl lettering that's done by a lot of sign companies now, that over time, sunlight and things can kind of peel off the stick-on signage type of things for custom-made type of signs like this. So having a kind of a fully painted and good quality materials and things is an important piece. So whether that's all hype or not, we want something that the signs will last hopefully as long as the houses do. So longevity is an important piece of this, and somebody that understands that and has knows the quality of materials and fading of colors and chipping of moisture and all of this other stuff, because they're highly exposed to sunlight and rain and moisture, et cetera. So just number 11 was notice of the workshops that are ongoing through the spring that Jennifer Doherty is doing, who is the MHC representative to local historic commissions. And I listened to one of those. She has another one that was supposed to happen today, has been postponed to next week sometime, I believe. 1 o'clock on Thursday, I believe, which is administering local historic district guidelines. So I'm going to be listening to that. And if you want to tune into that, if you're on the listserv, she's sent out several notices, or if you want a connection to it, let me know. And there's also one per month, I believe, for the next several months that they're putting on. Also, the Central Massachusetts Historical Commission Coalition, March 10th at 10 a.m. has a virtual workshop on updating inventories. So we are Central Mass, and I've signed up for that one. Anybody else on the commission would like to, or if you're looking for a link, again, these are free. There are Zoom or Google Meet types of things, and finding out about updating inventories like MACRIS listing and et cetera. Any new business?
I wouldn't consider it business, but I just wanted to just put it out to the board that I don't know, I'm probably the last to know, but I was wondering why Vi Morin's house on 5th Mass Turnpike didn't have any gardens maintained for quite some time. And I had found out that Vi passed away in August and her house has been sold. And I only just learned this yesterday. I was just disappointed to learn that. If I had known her house was up for sale, I would have bid on it, that's for sure. It only sold for $310,000, which I was shocked, but that was August. I'm sure it would have sold for more now. But you know, I just she was definitely an asset to Fitchburg, keeping the house the way that she did. I have no any information. I don't have any information on the new owners, what their intentions are on the property, but I just wanted to just share that with the board.
Thank you. She gave me a tour of the house one time, and she's done a nice, great job on the inside too.
Yeah, you can go on like realtor.com or something like that, and you can see the photos that they used to market the house when it was sold in August. And I had also photographed it. It was one of the first things I photographed when I graduated from Fitchburg State for the, I don't know if it was for the Historical Society house tour, or I think her house was on the tour or something. That's how I met her. And it was like one of the first things I ever photographed was her house.
Yeah, it's a beautiful cape right on the corner of 5th Mass and Franklin.
Yeah.
Very close to Route 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very sweet little house. She has a marker, but she never put it up because she'd made her own marker. She and her neighbor on the opposite corner have kind of rectangular markers on their house that they'd made themselves. But she has one of our markers also, just never put it up. I think she liked hers better. But a real personality. Okay, any other new business? Next meeting is March 24th.
Oh, I do want to throw one more thing out, Keith, real quick. I did try to reach out to Preservation Mass regarding the old Worcester County Courthouse.
Endangered.
Yeah, I got crickets back. On their website, it says that they've scaled down their things due to COVID. It didn't look like they were going to have the nominations program this time around. I think that it's on the back burner. I sent them an email, very detailed. I never heard back, and I did try calling once and didn't get through to anybody. So I'm guessing for now that whole they did say they still have resources to help if there's a threatened property. But as far as that nomination process, I don't think that they're, I think they're just, everything's in slow motion right now. I think they're putting it off probably for another year or something, maybe. Anyway, I just wanted to throw it out because at the last meeting, I said that I would try to get in touch with them. So.
Okay, thank you for the update. It would have been nice. Okay, All right, we have lots of work to do. Anything else? Any other comments, updates?
Megan, I don't remember where we left off on this, but on the website, on the brochure for the markers, I think a long time ago, we talked about having somebody at City Hall update the address from the Boulder Drive address to the Main Street address. But in light of us not having anybody to make our signs, I'm wondering if we can update it to say something that it's on hold temporarily, or
Have you checked recently? I thought they did get it.
I haven't checked it. I haven't checked.
I think it did. Only thing that I think is missing is that I don't get the group emails, and I do not get emails. There's a little thing there for chair, and there's a blue connection to it, the email to me, and I can get it to come to myself, but anybody with a city office email does not. Like Mark Barbrito tried to send me something, and also the head of DPW tried to send me something. By clicking on that, it didn't come through. I sent an email to the IT department twice now for them, and I haven't heard back from them. So it's kind of a pit up there. I've copied Joan David, who's the assistant to the mayor, on the last one. And I think I'll try to give her a call, see if she can follow up on it. But I don't know if the IT department is just not responding to my request. So. But I'll double check obviously the brochure is going to have to be updated also. And
Well, yeah, just so that we don't get any checks in the mail, because it's just more work for us. Then we're gonna have to send those back or rip them up or whatever,
yeah, that might be something, put a temporary hold on it or something, and I don't know.
I know the IT is not the one that updates the website, it's the city clerk.
Oh,
So,
city clerk?
out when I was doing the first changes, and they're the ones that do all the updating.
Okay, city clerk and not Joan David's office.
Well, you can contact Joan, but I know the city clerk does all the changes to the website.
Okay, I'll contact city clerk's office. They're very responsive, so.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. All right, thank you.